Russian soldiers, and that this would not be accepted by Russia. Three Russian Navy ships sent to intimidate Finland and Sweden departed from the port of St. Petersburg and headed for the Baltic Sea. Russian leader Vladimir Putin thought he could intimidate Ukraine's allies with these Navy ships, but he was wrong. The US intelligence service used satellite imagery to inform the Swedish government of the departure of Navy ships from the port of St. Petersburg. Swedish government officials took action to stop the Russian Navy ships. The Swedish Air Force mobilized 4 JAS 39 Gripen model fighter jets and set off for the Baltic Sea. Swedish fighter jets flew over the Russian Navy ships moving towards the Baltic Sea and called for the Russian Navy ships to turn back. Despite all these warnings, the Russian naval ships continued to move forward, thinking that the Swedish planes would not dare to attack them. The Swedish pilots took an attack position and fired missiles very close to the Russian naval ships. The missiles almost hit the Russian naval ships. The Russian Navy ships, which had stopped advancing after the attack by the Swedish warplanes, changed their course and started to turn back. Swedish fighter jets successfully blocked the threat of Russian naval ships in the Baltic Sea. Swedish government officials made a statement after Russian Navy ships violated the maritime borders of Sweden and Finland. The Swedish Defense Ministry said that any country that violates Sweden's borders will be repulsed in this way, and that this has nothing to do with Russia, adding that if the Russian Navy ships had not changed their direction, they would have had to destroy them. Russian President Vladimir Putin has become a lonely state after invading Ukrainian territory. The Swedish and Finnish governments, which are close to becoming NATO members, have recently been subjected to frequent Russian threats. Swedish government officials, who previously stated that Russia's Su-25 fighter jet violated Swedish borders in the Baltic Sea, said that Russia has been violating too many borders recently. Russian leader Vladimir Putin is very afraid of Sweden and Finland becoming NATO members. Putin, who is aware that if Sweden and Finland become NATO members, he will be surrounded by NATO countries, is trying to intimidate Sweden into withdrawing its application for NATO membership. But Swedish government officials believe that the Russian military invasion of Ukraine is only the beginning, and that Russia is a threat to all European countries. Russian leader Vladimir Putin has deployed a large number of Russian troops and tanks to the Leningrad region, which borders Finland. The fact that Vladimir Putin is preparing a new attack with an army of 500,000 people in the coming months makes everyone nervous. Russia sending so many troops to the Finnish border is thought to be a part of Putin's attack plan. In order for Vladimir Putin to have an army of 500,000 men, he needs to announce a new mobilization order in Russia. In the previous partial mobilization order, Putin recruited 300,000 Russian citizens into the Russian army and sent more than 200,000 Russian soldiers to fight forcibly on Ukrainian soil. However, Putin failed to consider the consequences of this mobilization. The Russian people, who did not want to go to Ukraine to fight with the partial mobilization decision, took to the streets and started to protest against Putin and the war. Vladimir Putin, fearing that his authority would be undermined, successfully prevented these protests by Russian security forces.